Grace and peace, everyone. What's up? Just going to wait for this to spin up for a hot second. Hope everyone is doing great today. It is a beautiful day here in Dallas, Texas. I know this is a lot of lives. I've kind of been pondering this for a hot second. So if anyone joins live, go ahead and hit me up with a one in the chat so that I know you're there, so that I can see the audio is good, video is good, and this is coming through clear. And then we're going to get started. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds. I know it's in the middle of the day. I know people are working, et cetera, et cetera. So this won't be a long one at all, but I think what I need to share needs to be shared. So I'll give it a couple of more seconds, let some people join in, et cetera, and then we're going to get popping. Basically, let me take a quick sip of the tea there. Good stuff. Good stuff. Here we go. Hey, what's up, sis? See, we got someone in the chat. Give me a one if the audio and video are clear and you can hear properly. And then we're going to dive right in. Give me a one in the chat if you can hear and see clearly. Thank you very much. See, the good homie who does not like the right Star Wars characters is in the building. Much respect. Always good to see you there, sister. Thank you. Good. All right. So let's get going. So today I want to tackle a video that someone I respect immensely, Dr. Michael F. Bird. He wrote a ton of stuff. I'm a huge fan. He wrote, among other things, this. As you can see, I have it. Like I've literally leveraged it in a paper I was writing for school. Great, great, great resource about things about the Bible. He also wrote this. I stood in line to get this at SBL, and it is a phenomenal work. It's scholarly, it's heavy, but it is a great work. So I say this to preface and say, I respect this man. Like I am literally a fanboy. In addition to that, Dr. Bird is a drinker of tea, so kudos to you, sir, for that. I too am only a drinker of tea. I loathe coffee. I think it's the devil's juice, but tea is of the gods, nectar of the gods. So respect Dr. Bird immensely. He dropped a video a couple of days ago on his YouTube channel. I'll link that in the description below as well, because it's a good video. But he makes a fundamental mistake in it about AI. So I have been working with AI for decades. It is not new technology. It's popularized now, but it's been around in the industry that I work in on a daily basis with cybersecurity. We've been using AI literally for decades, more than 20 years. It is a popular tool. It's powerful. It has a lot of good uses. So I felt I should chime in. While I am absolutely no New Testament or biblical scholar, I do have a body of knowledge on AI, so I thought a correction was due. So on that note, we're going to make a correction to a video about AI from Dr. Bird. Here we go.
But
thank you. Sound was out. I'm going to repeat what I just said. I utterly respect Dr. Bird. He is a significantly respected by me and by the world scholar, New Testament scholarship, in the scholarly world in general. He has a tome, I consider it one of the epitomes of the New Testament, written with Dr. N.T. Wright himself. Like, tons of respect for the man. He missed a detail on AI that I think is very, very important. It's critical that the biblical scholarship world grasps this accurately. So I figured, let me, be the one to chime in on this. I'm not picking on the man's scholarship with regards to the Bible or anything. That's not me. I don't have the expertise, but on AI, I do have the expertise. So therefore, I'm gonna chime in. So Dr. Bird has this video out where he gives four or so, I can't remember, a couple of tools on AI that he thought would be good for scholars to use. Excellent thing. I'm going to play a little clip of it here so you kind of get a vibe of it.
Beyond that, there's a lot of other things happening in this area. There's a lot of really good tools that are out there that you can use. So if you're an academic or a student and you want to know about some really nifty tools to help you out in your research, your studies, and your general sort of work in the academic sphere, I've identified several that you might find pretty helpful. Another interesting tool is
Dr. Bird has this video. He walked through some use cases for it, and he brought up, I think it was like four or so examples of things that are good AI tools that are relevant for scholars. I said I'll drop the link in below so you'll be able to watch his video. It's a good video if you take this caveat that I'm about to share out. One of the things he jumps into first is ChatGPT. That's his first useful tool. And part of the problem is what he says, and I'm going to stop burying the lead here. He starts off by saying ChatGPT is good for summaries and asking questions, etc. And that's the problem. ChatGPT is good for summaries, it's good for creative writing, it's good for some other things that he's going to touch on. It is terrible for asking factual questions. It is not designed for that. Anyway, he then goes further and he talks about another tool called Perplexity. And the mistake rears its head here again. Perplexity, by the way, an awesome tool. So let's go into his little talk on Perplexity.
Perplexity. Now, this is a little bit different to ChatGPT, and it's also different to, say, your average Google search. So a Google search will just give you a bunch of websites you can look at with information, whereas ChatGPT does the synthesis of those searches for you. Right, so I click on the moniker icon, which is on my screen, and you can
Here, you heard it there again. He compared Perplexity, ChatGPT, Google. He said, Google, if you go and do a search on it, it will give you a list of websites that you can refer to, and you then got to sort through to figure out what's what. Versus ChatGPT, as he says, will synthesize, that's the phrase he used, the search result and give you, read it to you in a human readable form. That is fundamentally incorrect. That is not what ChatGPT does. That is not what any, pardon my French, that's not what any GPT does. And I'll explain why. As a matter of fact, change my view for a hot second. As a matter of fact, Perplexity, the tool that he's referring to, specifically states that their value add is in that differentiator. I'll read what Perplexity says. Perplexity deals with LLMs, which is the type of ChatGPT, habit of hallucination. That is, making things up by placing a strong emphasis on citations and references. The results from the initial query and all follow-up queries are always accompanied by notations, and they can be clicked on to ask follow-up questions or dig deeper into the topics. Quote from the founders of Perplexity: "We come from an academic background, and we have this core principle that when you write a paper, you are not allowed to say things that you cannot cite." This founder explains. That's a core tenet of Perplexity. We basically told the GPT to never say anything it cannot back up. That is what, there we go. That is what Perplexity says about itself. Dr. Bird likes Perplexity because, I'm coming to that question in a second. Dr. Bird likes Perplexity because it gives the references. The fact that it is programmatically designed to give references and not state something it cannot validate or verify or give proof of is what makes Perplexity different. The lack of that is what makes ChatGPT not well suited for factual questions at all. Therefore, remember that statement. I'm going to come back to that. Therefore, anything that um, is based on ChatGPT, and there's lots of them, including this tool that the good doctor is about to refer to. It's called Monica. Monica is a plugin. It works in your browser, and it allows you to bring ChatGPT-like functionality into whatever you're doing. So you're at a web page, you see something, you can ask it to summarize, you can ask it to write an email right on the spot while you're in Gmail. You can cut it, paste it. It's really, really good for that kind of stuff. But watch the use case that he immediately puts Monica to. And I'm going to go back to the video.
See on the right hand side, I've got another things I can chat, compose. I can simply ask it a question down here. That could be something as mundane as like, what year did Athanasius die? And you can see it pretty much comes up here. It's good and it knows about it. It's a good way to get quick access.
True. Monica, which is a plugin for ChatGPT, allows you to get access to ChatGPT wherever you are in your web browser. It is still not a good tool for asking it questions. I'll explain why. ChatGPT is a technology it's built on an AI technology called LLM. LLM stands for Large Language Model. The purpose of a large language model is solely to take its training data, and training data, as publicly stated by the ChatGPT founders, has been constrained to end at September of 2021. So anything after September 2021, you should assume ChatGPT does not know about it. That's why when you go and ask it for, I know one author recently said, I asked it for a biography of me and it only gave old stuff that I did. It didn't have new things because you probably did stuff after the deadline of when the training data for ChatGPT was. And all large language models are like this. Google Bard is the same thing. Bing Chat AI is the same thing, which is based on ChatGPT, by the way. All of them are constrained. Why? Because we don't have the compute power to be able to simply scan the entire internet and learn everything. Maybe one of these, I'm sure one of these days we will. But as of today, we do not have the power to do that. This is why those LLM tools are based on language. They are extraordinarily well suited at language questions. So, hey, and the doctor referred to this, ask it to write a song about Athanasius in the tune of, a Beatles song. Phenomenal. It can do that. That's a creative task. A large language model is a programmatic tool that calculates which word strings follows subsequently, which word can well be stringed after another word to bring across meaning. A language tool. How can it communicate? This is why you're able to type in and have a chat with it and ask it questions, and it can seemingly answer back in a human fashion. It's not reasoning properly. It is simply figuring out, what are you asking me? How can I respond back with data? The problem with LLMs, ChatGPT being one of them, and all of them have this problem, because they are tuned to get a response out, their tuning is not on accuracy at all. ChatGPT goes so far as to even state this. But let's dive a little bit deeper and I'll give you some more actual examples. Let's continue with the doctor's video.
Access to AI technology for a bunch of tasks, writing social media posts, emails, some automatic searches. When you search something on Google, you'll put in, but you'll get like 20 answers. Normally, you'll get something straight away from Monica.
Hear the humongous caveat that the good doctor himself gives right now. So he's referring to, listen, with Monica, you can ask ChatGPT things and you'll get a response from ChatGPT right away. And it's right in your browser. You don't even need to go to the ChatGPT website or whatever. But, and here, listen to the humongous but.
That said, you do have to be careful because not all of its answers are correct. I put in a question before about which Roman emperor persecuted John Chrysostom, one of the church fathers, and it got it wrong. It said it was Theodosius the second, when in fact it was Theodosius the first. So you've got to be discerning, and you frequently do have to check some stuff.
Doctor says you have to be discerning And you frequently also have to check some stuff. And this is where I have a major problem with it. I'm going to give two point blank examples to show you just how wrong a GPT can get it. And again, why is that? Because the GPT doesn't have an infinite basis of knowledge. It is constrained. In the case of Chat GPT, it's constrained to September 2021. So anything after that, it doesn't know. And even now, because the latest version of Chat GPT, as well as Bing Chat, is now for the first time, maybe for the last 4 weeks or so, connected to the internet. It wasn't before that. So it is going out and learning some things. It's not going out and scouring the internet for every piece of knowledge and ingesting that. It's learning some things because we do not have infinite compute power yet. That's the problem. So because of that, what does it lead? What does it do for us? Again, following my own criticism, I'm not going to make a statement without being able to prove it. I will prove this to you in two manners. Here's one. So just a screen share. Let me give you Chat GPT from earlier today. Boom. Friend actually did this. Song of Solomon. There was a quote, and they were searching for, and they asked, "Does Cyril of Alexander make a reference to the sachet of myrrh mentioned in the Song of Solomon?" ChatGPT responds, yes, Cyril of Alexander does make that reference. And here's the quotation. It gives the whole quotation, and it even gives you the reference. Commentary on the Gospel of John, book 4, chapter 18. Sounds good, right? He says you have to be discerning, but this is discerning. It gives you a reference even. So I'm going to trust that and I will put it in my paper. The problem with that is, let me show you my follow-up note. Oops, sorry. Problem with that is, here is, and let's go back to it so I'm super clear. Commentary on the Gospel of John, book 4, chapter 18. I went into my trusty Logos and I pulled up Saint Cyril of Alexandria's commentary on the Gospel of John. I'll go back again, book 4, chapter 18. Chapters in book 4. Book 4 has chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It literally stops at chapter 7. There is no book 4, chapter 18. ChatGPT generated a reference from whole cloth. 100% incorrect. Unless you go to the length that I just went to, you will absolutely get wrong information from ChatGPT. I'll give you one more example as I promised. This one is even clearer in my opinion. I asked ChatGPT today, where is 666 in the Old Testament? Oh, sorry. What is 666 in the Old Testament? In the Old Testament of the Bible, specifically in the book of Revelation, the number 666 is mentioned, chapter 13, verse 18. I shouldn't even need to read further. It thinks the book of Revelation is in the Old Testament. Obviously, dead wrong. Because of that, the rest of this statement is pretty much nonsensical because it's not related to my question about what is 666 in the Old Testament. I doubled down on this, and this was just minutes ago. I asked ChatGPT, okay, where is this 666 in the Old Testament? ChatGPT catches its mistake and must be bingo day. We get two mistakes for the price of one. I apologize for the confusion in my previous response. You are correct that the number 666 is not mentioned in the Old Testament. It is solely found, it is solely found in the New Testament, specifically the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 18. The Old Testament does not contain any direct reference to 666. Now, I, of course, being a nerd, I've taken my own GPT and I've programmed it myself and I've informed it on peer-reviewed scholarly references. So I have my own GPT, and FYI, as a matter of fact, let me change the screen for a hot second. I strongly recommend that scholars probably start looking into this. Find all your peer-reviewed stuff, maybe all of your bodies of knowledge. I would gladly volunteer to take some of this probably and dump it all into a GPT and train the GPT on that. Because then you have the ability to have students and whoever else query your body of knowledge that now the GPT is aware of and get accurate answers to questions. So then you're training not only in a large language model that teaches it the language, but you're also training it on here's some context on the biblical worldview so that it can answer correctly. So my GPT, not available for release yet, I asked it the same question. What is 666 in the Old Testament? In the Old Testament, 666 is the number of talents of gold that Solomon received. It is seen as a symbol of his inordinate wealth, exploitation of his own people, and eschewing God's law. Just to be clear, oops, my apologies. I'm reading something and you can't see it. Wrong one. Here. Again, what is 666 in the Old Testament? 666. This is the Greg GPT. I call it the Bible hacking AI GPT. It's the Old Testament. 666, the number of talents of gold that Solomon received, seen as a symbol of his inordinate wealth, exploitation of his own people, skewing God's law. Where is 666 in the Old Testament? 666 is found in 1 Kings 10:14, 2 Chronicles 9:13, where it is mentioned this number of talents of gold that Solomon received. Only difference there is the fact that my GPT has been trained on scholarly context. That's it. Now, obviously, this is for an example, so I limited the scope of what it's been trained on. I literally just took a podcast of a scholar that I respect very much, took the transcripts of all of his podcasts, a couple of hundred chapters, and I dumped it in there and I told it, here, get this knowledge in addition to the language. And this is what it came up with. Long story short, go ahead and close this. Long story short, GPTs are good. AI is good. AI, GPTs, large language models, are not search engines. And the notion, as Dr. Bird says, that you should frequently need to check the results of the GPT, I think that's fundamentally flawed. That's tantamount, and I'm going to use a US slang here, to saying the brownie has only 5% poop in it. Just 5%. 95% is chocolate and brownie awesomeness. 5% is diarrhea. Would you eat that brownie? No, you wouldn't. That's what ChatGPT is for facts. It is not designed for facts. As a matter of fact, if you go to the bottom of every single ChatGPT prompt, ChatGPT itself tells you, I'm going to quote it for you and demonstrate it by actually showing you the screen so you know I'm not making it up. ChatGPT actually tells you at the bottom of every prompt, ChatGPT may provide inaccurate information about places, people, or facts. ChatGPT May 24 version. That's the most recent version as of today. ChatGPT is not designed for answering questions about facts. It never is. It is not what it is built for. So, on that note, I hope this was helpful. How long have we been? 20 minutes on a 12 rebuttal on a 12-minute video. Again, absolute utter respect for Dr. Bird, his scholarship. I reference it to this day still, and that's not going to change. But AI, he got a little mistake there, and I hope this corrects it. This has been Bible hacking. Enjoyed it. Hope you guys have fun. Thanks for the questions and comments in the chat.